Hey guys, I just wanted to say thank you for using my creator code whenever you purchase any Sims 4 DLC on the EA app or thesims.com. I receive a 5% commission each time you use my code, which means you're directly supporting me as a creator. I know there are a lot of codes floating around out there, so I am very grateful that you've chosen me to support in this way. Thank you so much. Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you're brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And we are building in, wait for it, hold on, San Sequoia. There we go. I literally wanted to say San Francisco. We're building in San Sequoia, and we are building a little tiny Craftsman style family home for a family of 3 Sims. And I'm trying to be fancy, trying to use some platforms. Yes, I am. It actually was super fun. I've been doing this a lot, maybe semi-recently. I've been trying to work with platforms a little bit more. I never used them that much when they first kind of came out. I used them a lot in builds in like Mount Komorebi and stuff like that, because it really did suit the architectural style, but I don't use them that often in builds outside of that world. At least it doesn't feel like I do. So I felt like doing that here with this little Craftsman style home. It allowed me to just play around with different levels of things, and I had a good time. So hopefully you enjoy this build. Also, just as a reminder, if you were unaware, this build is actually pre-recorded, because if you're watching it, it means that I am on maternity leave. Yes, it means I've had my baby and I have decided to take some time off. I tried to prepare a ton of videos for you all to enjoy while I am away. I don't know how long I'm going to be taking away from YouTube, but I think I have, I want to say maybe a month or two's worth of videos prepped for you all, which is absolutely nuts. I don't know how I did it. But yeah, if you were unaware, that is currently why this build is pre-recorded. So if you're wondering if there's any like new expansions or kits or any other things that may or may not be announced in the months leading up to my leave, no, it does not include these things. Like, for example, at the time of me recording this, Businesses and Hobbies came out maybe a couple of weeks ago, and this build does not include anything from that expansion pack. But I anticipate that we're probably going to get a couple of kits from the time of me recording this to the time that you're seeing it. There might even be another expansion. Actually, I know there's going to be 2 more kits at a minimum. So anyway, I just figured I'd always put that disclaimer out for this pre-recorded content. That way you're all not wondering why I might not be using certain things, or if I'm not like talking about some current news in the Sims community. It's because these are not super current. But the shape of the house is pretty much together at this point, and I failed to mention, I was actually going off of a image on Pinterest as well, or it may have been Google Images, I'm not sure, but I will put it on screen for you so you all can check it out. And this is not a shape of house that's like brand new to me either. I'm pretty sure I did another build probably around the time when Growing Together came out that was almost identical to this shape. I just used platforming and some other building, I don't want to even say tricks, but just some other building things, strategies, I don't know, to make this one a little bit different. And now the dormer also upstairs, I'm gonna put this disclaimer out there. The dormer that is on the quote unquote second level is accessible via a ladder, but I don't think I put anything up there. I wanted to just kind of leave it empty. That way you can turn it into whatever you'd like. More often than not, I turn it into just like an attic storage space, and I add some items like the decoration box from Seasons or like old kids stuff, like just to kind of make it a faux attic. But I didn't do anything for this one, I don't believe. So you could turn it into like a hangout spot for the kiddo that I imagine being in this build. And like I mentioned, family of 3. So it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, I believe. There might be some more opportunity to kind of divvy things up and make it a 3-bedroom, but I was perfectly fine making it like a smaller family home. And I really like how it came out. Since I chose the kind of like orangey wood tones for the doors and the windows and whatnot from Growing Together, I decided to carry a lot of those wood tones into the interior as well. I did struggle at first. Like, I started in the kitchen because I knew I wanted to use these base game countertops, which I'll still call them new. They're still new. These new base game countertops and cabinets, I thought they would be perfect. And just, I don't know, on impulse, just my eyes, it's pleasing to my eyeballs, but like pairing this kind of more manila, like orangey wood tone with yellows and stuff like that, some more pops of bright colors, it's just very appealing to me. So I ended up using these chairs at first from Get Famous because I don't use them that often at all. I don't know why. I've started to get in, I'm not going to call it a rut, but I've started to get in this pattern where if I'm building, for example, in Sequoia, in my brain, I'm like, you should use as much growing together as possible. I did the same thing when Businesses and Hobbies came out. I was like, you should use as much as the new pack as possible in the new world. And I just didn't, my brain gets like locked in with whatever the new stuff we have or the stuff that came with a particular world. So I was really focused on using a lot of growing together in this build. And maybe it's just because it works, right? Like all the items go together. There is an aesthetic, there is a style. It makes sense, but I also love to use all of the packs and mix things. So I did struggle at first, and I pull away from those chairs from Get Famous, and I swapped them out with these chairs from high school years. I thought they were a little bit more fun. And I also changed out the appliances to the ones that we got with growing together. And I pulled back on the color of the curtains, which were from high school years. I made them kind of this, I'd say they're probably more gray. I think the swatch itself almost looks grayish blue, and I can't recall if they kind of have this ombre color to the bottom of those curtains. No, they don't. Okay, so I pulled the countertop away. Some of the swatches do, so I just couldn't remember if this was one of them. But I liked this a lot more. It's pulling in more of those like lighter, I can't even say mossy greens, but just like these lighter greens and yellows and the orangey wood tones I thought looked really nice together. And I knew, of course, that we had a rug from Growing Together that really ties all those colors in too. So all in all, it's very matchy-matchy in a lot of these main living spaces, as I typically do. More often than not, I do that. But I do like how it came out. It ended up being, in my opinion, very cluttered and very lived in, which made it feel much more alive. That's why I clutter all my builds like that. It makes them feel lived in, makes them feel a little bit more realistic. Sometimes I can go overboard, but you know, that's okay. Also, the layout of this build actually is a bit odd. So not only did I struggle with the kitchen, even though it's a decent size, do you know what it was? I really wanted to use the archways from Growing Together because they're just beautiful. I want to use them all the time. And I knew that this was going to be the only spot that I could use it with the way that I'd laid out the rest of the home. And I knew the living room was going to be equally as difficult for me. And you might be looking at the kitchen and be like, April, it's not that complicated of a shape or layout. Like, what are you talking about? You're not wrong. But my brain was just not cooperating that day at all. But I was trying so hard. So this is going to be the layout of the living room. I really wanted the fireplace from Growing Together. I, of course, wanted to put a television in here because it is more of a family home. It just seemed appropriate. And I just didn't know how to lay it out. And luckily, I figured this out. And it worked. It does. It's maybe a bit odd because there's really no entryway. I mean, you walk right into the living room, and maybe odd's not even the right term. I don't typically do that. There's a little bit more space between the front door and the primary living space, but here I just couldn't do it. And I also just didn't know how to work around this fireplace as well, because I wanted it as central to the sofa as possible, but I wanted the sofa centralized with the window that it was underneath. So it was really difficult. The fireplace is not perfectly centered, which means neither is the television, but I think it came out okay. I don't work with a lot of symmetry, I think, when I'm doing builds. Like, I try not to be super symmetrical because that, even if it's satisfying to my brain, also hurts my brain. And for this build, when things are just like off-centered though, I just like, especially in this build, I was just getting uneasy, but I forced myself through it. And then once I finished decorating it and really cluttering it up, making it look lived in, doing all that stuff, I like how it came out. So I forced myself out of that little, like, I was locked in my brain, and I forced myself out of it, and I was really pleased with the result. But yeah, the living room is pretty much together at this point, just cluttering up this coffee table a little bit more and making it look as though, not that the kid necessarily like overruns the living room or anything like that, but just that they are also represented in this primary living space, cluttering up on top of the fireplace and all that fun stuff. Oh, and I think I've used it in a build since we've gotten this kit, but I'm not 100% sure because I just find it funny how we actually got a couple new record players with this, like the slew of kits that we got, like the Casanova Cave kit, the Secret Sanctuary kit, like all those and whatever. I used the one from the Secret Sanctuary kit though. It's just like a one tile little record player, and I like stuffed it in the corner near the archway. I thought that was kind of nice. I was excited about using it finally. And now here's just going to be a little hallway. Like I said, there is ladder access to that little dormer, that little attic space. I do move the plant because I was a little bit worried that it was going to block your Sim's ability to go up that ladder. So I do shuffle things around just a little tiny bit, but worked fine when I play tested it. So you all should be good. Hopefully, I'd say like 80% of the time, things are good to go when I play test them and when you all download them, but you just never know because the gallery is so unpredictable. That's like the best way I could put it. It's just unpredictable. But yeah, I do add this little console table. We have a mirror on the wall. And then we also have a dresser. I think it's from Cats and Dogs, I want to say. And I think it's an actual dresser. But it's the one that looks like it has like a bunch of towels and things. So I put it outside the bathroom. That way it's kind of like their faux linen closet, if you will. And then we decorate, I want to say the bathroom really quickly. Yeah, we do. Sometimes I just forget. And this build actually... I sound like such a broken record every time I say this. And then I say I sound like a broken record, which makes me sound like more of a broken record. Anyway, at the time of me recording this, it's been probably about a week or two since I even finished this build. So I'm trying to remember what I actually did, how I moved from room to room, what some of these design decisions were, because even like a week away from a build, I like blank it out of my memory. It's amazing how it happens that fast. But then we end up working on the primary bedroom, and this is for the 2 parents. That's what I envisioned. Pretty standard layout for a primary bedroom, in my opinion. I did not do anything super fancy. I did use this bed from Horse Ranch though, which I absolutely love. I've said it once. I'll say it again. I've probably said it more than once. Oh wait, I didn't use it. Darn it. Never mind. I'm still going to say what I was going to say. What I was going to say is that the build and buy for Horse Ranch, it's some of the best build and buy, I think personally, that we have in the game. And I use it far more often than I ever anticipated using it. Like, I love using Horse Ranch items. They are some of my favorite. But I did swap out the bed. I used the one from Growing Together. It all came together, and it looks really nice in my opinion. So hopefully you like it, but it was a bit of a challenge to lay out this room actually, even though it was pretty standard just because of all the windows, but I made it work. I think I shuffled the dresser over to where I just had the mirror though. I did it off camera because I was really just not liking how it looked. And then we end up moving on to the kid room, and I made it kind of like pinky and yellow. I wasn't necessarily giving too much thought into this child's interest, but then again, more often than not, kids have a ton of different interests, right? So there could be a plethora of items that represent the things that they are interested in, hobbies, all that fun stuff. But I don't know, I just went nuts with it. I went nuts with clutter as I typically do in kids' rooms. That's where you have free license, in my opinion, to just go crazy with decorations. Now, one thing I did notice though is if you do size down these curtains from Growing Together and you put them on those Growing Together windows, the frame of the window sticks through the curtain, which was kind of disappointing to me because those curtains are huge, and I would have loved if we had a smaller version, or if at least when you size them down, they wouldn't let the window frame clip through. I just left it there. I said, screw it, it's fine. But if you don't like it, if that really, really bothers you, you might just have to swap out the curtains or just use one of those curtains because they're so giant. That's why I needed to size them down in the first place. But I gave this child a full bookcase, like a really big one from the kids' room stuff. Then they also have a desk here. And I think I'm able to add, I want to say it's either a creativity table or I add the Void Critter Station. I can't recall. I try so hard in kids' rooms to add, yeah, it's a creativity table. I try so hard to add as many activities as humanly possible. But as we all know in The Sims 4, some of the items are really, really big and they're hard to get in some of these smaller spaces. So yeah, I was able to get the creativity table in, and I added like a little armchair near the bookcase. Then we've got some clutter on the desk. I have the jar of marbles and stuff. I didn't put like the marble thing outside, but I did add hopscotch. So there's another activity for the kiddo. And now we're on to the exterior again. We're going to decorate the little front porch here, which I think I just add a couple of chairs from Seasons, and that plant from Werewolves. I love that plant and I don't use it enough, so I thought it was nice. I also added a debug car to the little carport, which I thought was nice. And then in this little side yard, because it's a bit skinny, there's not a lot of space there. I do kind of like flesh out the landscaping and whatnot, but I want to say a swing set for the kid, and then I think there's a grill and a picnic table so they can enjoy a meal outside. I'm hesitant about the grill part. That's what I'm hesitant about. I know there's a picnic table, but I just can't remember if I added a grill. I think I did. But if I didn't, you can always add one if you want one out there as well. You know, no big deal. But that is pretty much it for this build. I hope you all enjoyed this one. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts, and I will catch you next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Let you down. Know that I was not always around. I made you feel alone. You spent most of your nights just sitting on your own. I should have done so much more, like giving you the things you asked me for. And I know I was wrong. It's what I try to tell you with my song. Tell you with my song. What if I said I'm sorry? What if I'd make a scene? Wouldn't that make you mine again? You're all I'll ever need. Didn't I make you laugh? Didn't I make you smile? Didn't I make you feel like you were happy for a while? I know that I've done so many things that let you down, but I hope that you give me one more chance to make you mine. When I close my eyes, you know that you're the only thing I see.